Paris, and they tried to invade Paris, but they couldn't quite get there. Because this really cool guy who was the mayor of Paris at the time named Odo actually pushed them back, because the Merovingian kings were all super incompetent. I think it was like one of them was like named the Fat or the Bald or the Stupid, or like they all had terrible
France had been like Gaul at that point?
Yeah, well, not quite. Like, because it had, like, this was after Charlemagne, right? But all of Charlemagne's...
the great Charlemagne.
All of Charlemagne's ancestors were kind of incompetent and fought amongst themselves. But basically, I can't remember which king it was, basically cut them a deal that he'd let them have Normandy. And then the Vikings lived there. And that's why you had the Norman invasion of 1066, because they came back because they'd been pushed out of England. And then because of Arthur the Great and his ancestors just managed to unify most of it. And like get the Danelaw under their control, and the Vikings left, and then they came back a couple hundred years later, and this time it was personal. Good. I've been listening to a podcast on the history of the English language, and you learn a lot of English history.
Right, because of course people attacking back and forth.
Yeah, and like, and why English is such a mess, because you have French words, Viking words, Celtic words, Germanic sort of mother tongue words all mixed in there. Anyhow, that was a really, really bad history of a couple hundred years of England.
That's why I like to conjugate or spell any English word. You first need to know its root, whether it actually what the source was. Yeah, so many Mangs were descended from Charlemagne. Some of the Mangs you can see in the Avengers cross stitch.
Oh, our call-in is ready. Perfect. That was incompetent history with Kathleen. And now for competent call-ins with Ashley Burch. Hey!
Hello!
Hello.
How's everyone?
Slightly more educated than we were a moment ago.
Good.
So, Ashley, I've never met you, but my name's Kathleen. Thank you for calling me during my shift.
Yes, my pleasure.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you very much for calling in and talking to us during Desert Bus.
Yeah, my pleasure.
Awesome. So, so I know that you are kind of a famous voice actress, and you also did Hey Ash, What You're Playing. But do you want to maybe catch up some of our viewers on where they might know you and be like, I know that girl, I recognize her?
For sure. So I guess the biggest one is I am Tiny Tina in Borderlands 2. Second one that people probably care the most about is that I'm Sasha Browse in Attack on Titan. I'm also, what else am I in? I always forget somehow when I'm asked this question. I'm Cass in Being Puppy Cat, most recently. And I'm in a couple of other cartoon hangover shorts. Bored with Life, thank you, Vass Kurd. Bored with Life is a board game show I'm on. I guess those are the big ones. They're little guys that like probably two people would care about, but those are the big ones. Oh, I miss Pauling in the Team Fortress 2 short that came out. Expiration date. Those are the big ones.
Nice.
Thanks, friends. Thank you for remembering my resume for me. Adventure Time. Oh my God, Adventure Time also. Jesus. I'm also in Adventure Time as a character named Breezy. Okay, now I think those are the big ones. Cool.
So, how did you get into voice acting?
In a really weird way, because so the show that I do with my brother called Hey Ash, What You Playin', we just started doing in 2008 because we were sad and bored. So we didn't think it was actually going to go anywhere, but then people ended up kind of liking it and watching it a bunch. And so through that, Anthony got a job writing at Gearbox. And when he wrote at Gearbox, when he was writing Borderlands 2 at Gearbox, he started writing Tiny Tina, and he realized that, like, oh man, I kind of really want Ash to be able to audition for this. But I also don't want to be like, hey, you just hired me, put my sister in your game. So he wrote the character, and he brought it up to the team, and he was like, do you guys care if Ash auditions? And they were like, sure, whatever. And so I auditioned for it and got it. And that was the big thing, I think, that catalyzed all the other voice acting gigs. Although Hey Ash, I booked Miss Pauling for TF2 because of Hey Ash as well. So it's either Hey Ash or Tiny Tina or a combination of both for the most part.
Cool.
Nice. We have collected many questions from our viewers, and so I'm gonna.
Oh, hey.
So Paul is gonna go through the blog, our blog, and read some of them if you don't mind.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so there's a few questions here that we've been sort of asking people. We're curious about each person that calls in, and one of them is, what is the funniest or oddest tradition that you have in your family? The
funniest or oddest tradition I have in my family.
Have any traditions that most other families probably don't do?
I'm sure there's something. Hold on. Well, we, for some reason, Shaun of the Dead is our Christmas movie. I don't know why. It's not even set at Christmas, but that's one of the movies that we watch every Christmas. And then, man, it's funny because Hey Ash is, I guess our weird family tradition is that we make stupid videos together. It's like our weirdest thing that we do. We all publicize poop jokes on the internet in video format as a family.
Well, that's nice. You know, the family that makes ridiculous videos together stays together.
Ish. Yes, for sure.
Someone's talking about how much they love Tiny Tina.
Oh, thank you.
And are wondering, saying that the reaction has been somewhat polarizing, apparently. Mm-hmm. So, how do you feel about that even now we're 2 years later, that
she is a decisive character?
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's good that it has had, people feel strongly about it one way or another.
I mean, I think some people just find her really annoying, which I wouldn't begrudge anyone, because my voice is, that particular voice, I think, is kind of, could be grating for people for sure, because it's really like weird and loud and kind of shrill sometimes. So she's just she's an acquired taste. She's like a fine wine. No, she's not. She's like she's just a really kind of weird, wacky, esoteric character, and she's very much mine and my brother's sense of humor, and our sense of humor doesn't appeal to everyone. So it makes sense to me, and it's kind of nice. Like you said, it's just sort of nice for people to have strong reactions to her either way. Because there are some people who are like, God, I hate her so much. Every time she's on screen, I want to gouge my eyes out. And then there's some people who are like, she's the best part of Borderlands too. So it evens out.
The chat is pretty highly in favor of Tiny Tina. So
thanks, guys.
Yeah, there's somebody saying Tiny Tina for president, which seems impractical among other things.
Yeah.
But
I mean, she's got the right value system, which is mostly like cookies, tea parties, and then, but she would probably start wars with like every major country. So,
just for fun, though.
Yeah, just for fun.
Do you ever switch into either Tiny Tina or any of the other voices that you've done just to deliberately annoy people?
I mean, I kind of switch into voices unintentionally a lot. And Tiny Tina is sort of a voice that I've done for a while. Like, I would do mostly when I was interacting with Anthony to be weird. Like, there are elements of her voice that I would just, like, whenever I would talk to Anthony just to, like, weird him out, that's the voice that would come out. But now I kind of just slip into random voices without meaning to, frequently, which can be a good or a bad thing. But yeah, Tina's like a voice that I've kind of been doing for a while. That's just super weird. And she talks like this. It's like just a weird, like, that's not exactly her, but that kind of voice is just something that I've done for a while, for whatever reason.
Someone's asking if you got to be the lead designer of a game, what kind of game would you like to make?
Oh man.
This is when you just pull out all the design documents that you've been working on.
Yeah, this is a huge binder. Honestly, okay, so there are two things. These are mostly just like really nostalgic, actually, coming out. But the two major things that I would want a Final Fantasy game that doesn't have like a JRPG fighting system, because I'm not as into that as I used to be. So like, not really like turn-based combat. It's like really grindy, but something more like a Western RPG type style, like a Fable or like a Skyrim or something that's more like less structured, but that the world is still Final Fantasy-esque, because Final Fantasy has the most beautiful, amazing, gorgeous worlds of all time, but just with like a different system that's more enjoyable to me on top. So it's really not much of a design. It's not really me being a designer so much as I'm like, can you take this thing and then put another thing on top of it? But that's one. And then I'd also just want to make a sort of maybe kind of existentially dark adult Harvest Moon. So like a Harvest Moon that has like all, because that's Harvest Moon 64 is one of my favorite games of all time. So making a Harvest Moon that's like a little bit more adult and like maybe some darker shit happens.
So you want Organ Harvest Moon?
I want what?
Organ Harvest Moon?
Yeah, I want people to be able to die of dysentery. I want to have a wife and then have her be able to die of dysentery. That's pretty much it. My requirements for a game. I want permadeath Harvest Moon.
Ah. People in the comments are saying, somebody fund this. The people are asking, hey Ash, what you playing? I'm sure a question you've never ever got.
You guys. I've been playing a lot of Super Smash Bros. Melee randomly with some friends. So we watched the Smash Brothers documentary, which is like 9-part documentary that's on about the main players in the professional Smash community. And we watched that like a couple months ago. And since then, I've just been like we just like, oh man, we want to play Melee again. So we've just only been playing Melee for like a while. But at some point, I'm going to get Shadows of Mordor and play that. But right now, I'm just perfecting my Peach situation, or trying to. I'm not good at that game.
Hey Ashley.
Hi.
How's it going?
Yeah.
I'm pretty good. But no, I was gonna ask you because I know that you've been doing some voice acting in games, to talk a little bit about some of the games that you are helping out with and where people can find them.
Yeah. So okay, I'm gonna see which. I'm gonna try to remember which games I can actually talk about. Because there's a whole thing where it's like you record a game 5 years ago, and then they announce it, and you're like, "All right, I was in that game. Now I can talk about it." So I have to like be careful. But
it's okay. We'll all be secret. Yeah, nobody will say anything.
None of these 3,000 people are going to say
all
anything.
3,000, 5,000 people are watching.
Yeah. No. We're all under the friend DA. Yeah.
All 3,000 of you. Perfect. So Borderlands 2 is the biggest one. Like I said, Tiny Tina. And she's in the main game, and she also is in 2 of the DLCs. So the Mr. Torg DLC and the Assault on Dragon Keep DLC. And then Team Fortress 2, the thing that I'm is not technically a game, it's an animation, but it's just on YouTube. It's called Expiration Date. In Saints Row 4, we crazily we have a Hey Ash DLC pack. So you can download the DLC pack and we will be your homies in Saints Row 4. So it's me, my dad, and my brother are in the DLC pack. And so you can cruise around with us and we give us superpowers and my dad will say shit to you. So my dad is technically a voice actor now. That's what's crazy, is that my dad is in a game.
That's awesome. What about
There Came an Echo is something I recorded recently. It's the new game by Iridium Studios. It's got Will Wheaton in it, and me, and Laura Bailey, and Yuri Lowenthal, and a bunch of other amazing voice actors. I'm in a game called Awesome Knots, as a character called Isla. You can get that on Steam. Oh, Gravity Ghost. Yay, Gravity Ghost. Okay. Yay! So if y'all don't know who Erin Robinson is, she's the greatest. She's one of the funniest people I've ever met, and she is making this really wonderful indie game called Gravity Ghost that I am in with my dear friend Sarah Elmale. So that's Gravity Ghost. I think it's coming out next year, early next year, late at the end of this year, something like that. Soon. Next few months.
Yeah, soon.
Children of Liberty is a stealth game about the American Revolution that I'm in. I play a character called Sarah, and that's on early access right now. I don't think that Sarah is playable yet, but she will be soon. Then I'm in a game called Guided Fate Paradox, which is like a JRPG style thing. I think it's for the 3DS. And Aliens Colonial Marines as a character called Reed.
So basically, you're the busiest person ever.
Ah! This is all stuff that's been over like a few years. It's just like I'm just literally reading off of my resume right now because I forget things. But those are the things I think I can talk about. Yeah.
So I have a question for you because I know a lot of people are. I know there's definitely a few people in chat who'd be interested in how voice acting is different than regular acting, and if you like act out things while you're acting, or like how you like develop voices and stuff like that as a voice actor of note.
So voice acting is very different from on camera because, well, I guess it depends on the scenario. So if you're doing animation, then you'll often record with a group. So you'll record with the rest of your cast potentially, or a section of your cast. But with games, for the most part, you don't record with the other people in your cast. So you'll go in and, like, for example, with Tiny Tina, I just went in, it was just me. And I had the context that my director gave me and stuff like that, but mostly I was just trying to construct all of Pandora in my brain while performing. So it's really, I mean, they're both really fun for different reasons. Like on camera, you get, you'll get the costume, you get the set, you get all these, this context that helps you sort of get into character and establish where you are spatially and all of these things. And voice acting, it's just like, okay, I'm just going to pretend in my brain for a little bit and then get there and then deliver the line. So it's very different skill set. And it's funny when I go between them, like if I go from voice acting to Hey Ash, like I'll go to Hey Ash and be like, do I remember how to act for camera? Fuck. And I have to like kind of get in that mode and then go back to voice acting later. But it's also a very physical thing, so that's something you have to adjust when you're going from voice acting to on camera, is that when I'm voice acting, I'm just doing this. So I'm just gesturing constantly, like craziness, like gripping my hands and doing all these weird things. But if I did that on camera, I'd look like it looked bananas. So I can't do that, obviously. But to get your voice to the place where you need it to be there's like a lot of physicality that doesn't go into, because camera's like right here. So yeah, so that's a lot. Those are big differences. And then for developing voices, like, it kind of. I mean, so I've heard a good way to start with stuff is mimicry. So if you hear a voice that you like, oh, that's an interesting voice, I like that voice, then you'll try to develop your sound by imitating that person. So like I can do like a sort of like Cockney little boy voice because of like British TV that I used to watch, like stuff like that. But then there are also like, maybe there are like different archetypes that you want to be able to do better at. So like there's certain archetypes in animation for female voices, or in games for female voices. So you might decide like, oh, I'm really good at this section of voice work, but then I don't really have like the badass commander or the sultry whatever down, so I'll try to develop those or whatever. So you can do it a bunch of different ways. If you're just starting out and you're trying to find your range, then I think mimicry is a good way to begin, because then you're figuring out how to like literally physically place things in your mouth to make sounds. So like where your tongue should be if you're doing a Scottish accent versus a British accent versus a French accent versus whatever.
That was actually useful advice. Desert
Bus,
Bus, unusually educational today.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
There's some fans of your work and of Hey Ash and Borderlands and stuff are wondering if you are going to be able to get down to PAX South, or up to PAX South, depending on where you are.
When is PAX South again?
It's in January.
It's like January 29th or something.
It also overlaps directly with MagFest.
I'm not sure. January is actually a really busy month for like VO stuff, I think. At least it was this year, because I mean, LA pretty much just shuts down for December. So everyone comes back and then there's a bunch of stuff happening. So I'm actually not sure if I'll be able to. I'll be there in spirit. I'll be sending, whatever vibes, whatever this is, this gesture to PAX South if I can't make it there.
This is actually an interesting question for me, because I mean, when we shoot videos and stuff, we have series where we're sort of playing ourselves as a kind of more weird version of ourselves. And somebody's just asking that, for the Hey Ash, what you're playing is sort of a caricature of yourself. But what's the most Ash thing you've caught yourself unintentionally doing? Like, has it started to bleed back into reality?
Yeah, so kind of the things about Ash that I do, I definitely don't poop in people's beds. Don't do that. Just one time. It was just one time. But mostly I just will do small. I won't torture Anthony like I do in the show, but I'll do small things to just try to weird him out. So like get really close to his face and like make weird noises or like do a weird voice or say something weird just to try to get a reaction out of him is something that I would do a lot. Because that was the original premise for the show. So he's like, "You're really fucking weird. Do you want to be weird about video games on camera?" And I was like, "Whatever. I ain't got nothing to do." So that kind of thing, or like the weird voices. The Zelda, that really early Zelda episode that we did, where I'm making songs out of, I'm adding lyrics to the Ocarina songs from Zelda, is just a thing I did. I was like replaying Ocarina of Time, and I just started doing that. And Anthony was like, "We should put that in an episode," from the other room. So stuff like that. She's gotten a lot more like caricature-y and like very different to the point where people meet me in person, and I think they're a little bit disappointed because they're like, "I thought you were gonna be crazier." I'm like, "No, I'm pretty boring. I'm sorry. It's acting." But yeah, it's just any of the things that are weird but not necessarily violent are sort of me and how I interact with Anthony.
Nice. People are there's a question here from an anime fan saying, what do you have any advice for someone who's a fan of anime to try to explain the anime world to their interested but clueless family?
Interested but clueless family. Man, that is a tall order. Because there's so much different anime. How would you even... I mean, what kind of anime... I guess what kind of anime are you trying to get them into? Because if you're like... if you're trying to get them into like some harem anime, like, I don't know, man. I don't know how to help you.
I guess...
I don't know how you're going to pitch that.
What would you consider to be sort of like entry-level anime?
Entry-level anime?
To try and get...
I mean, when I was...
Try and get people into
Let's see. I mean, like, okay, so for like younger people... I guess people really seem to like Attack on Titan seems to be the show that like is bridging a lot of gaps between people that don't really usually watch anime. Attack on Titan seems to be like the big one for people right now. That there's still definitely like a lot of anime tropes, but it's not necessarily like, I guess for whatever reason it's like more palatable or more accessible to people that don't watch anime a lot. And then of course there's like Miyazaki films, which are like really esoteric, but they're also really beautiful. And I think they did the same thing. Like Spirited Away was like a big bridge for a lot of people into anime. The shows that I started with when I was a kid, I just pretty much watched anything that was on Toonami. So I was obsessed with Sailor Moon. And I watched Dragon Ball Z and Tenchi Muyo and all those types of shows. But depending on your on the age range you're looking at. So like if you're trying to show your parents some anime, then you could maybe go Miyazaki, but you could also go like Satoshi Kon. So you could show them like Tokyo Godfathers, which is just a legit really amazing movie, or like Millennium Actress, or you could show them, if you want to make them real sad, you could show them Grave of the Fireflies.
You want them to watch the anime again though, right?
Right, yeah, fair enough. Okay, maybe not Grave of the Fireflies. Because then they'll just have to rock back and forth for a little while. But if you're trying to show a younger person anime, man, what anime do the kids like these days? I don't even know. I love Sailor Moon. There's the new Sailor Moon, but it's like not as good. Maybe just show them old Sailor Moon and see what happens. Just for me. Just do that for me.
Talks good. All right, there's one last question here. We don't want to take up too much of your time, but this is talking about Tiny Tina specifically, but I guess also in general, how much ad-libbing do you do when you're recording a voice, and also how much of that actually makes it into the game or the show?
For Tiny Tina, I mostly the stuff that I had the most like that I just did random shit with were when anytime I had to rap or do a song, I would just make it up entirely. Like not the lyrics, not like the lyrics of it, but the beat or the melody or like how it was gonna come out. Anthony would write like Ashley will make this into a song, and then I would just do it.
Oh man,
those are the main.
That's mean.
Those are the main things. It's kind of fun actually. Those are my favorite ones to record because I would just see what would come out. So those are the major ones. For the most part, I try to stick to what's written because there are. I mean, it kind of depends. It's like if the person tells you like, "Hey, you can ad lib," then I'll go for it. But then a lot of people are like want you to stay close to what's written for various reasons, not just because they're like precious about their writing, but there's like a lot of reasons that they need a specific line read or dialogue piece that you don't necessarily want to mess with. But yeah, on Borderlands 2 is a lot of just like doing random raps and songs and stuff like that.
Nice. All right. Well, thank you very much for your time. It was wonderful to talk to you.
Yeah, my pleasure. Yeah, thanks for having me.
We're looking at the chat.
Sorry, someone's just posted a picture side by side of you and mine.
Yeah, someone's photoshopped my hair onto your.
Oh yeah, we are the same person. We're projecting in different planes right now.
Exactly. I'm in LA.
From the mother world, where we're all created.
Of like a world where it's just all us.
Or people. I mean, I get like comparisons every day. It's like, oh, you look like this person, this person, this person. So the pseudo Ashley Felix Maya world just must exist. Or they're all produced and flown out here.
All right. Well, I guess we will let you go. But thank you very much for calling in.
Yay!
And
yeah, my pleasure.
Goodbye.
Good luck with the rest of it. Bye.
Thank you so much, Ashley.
Thank you so
my
much.
pleasure. Bye.
And we
That was fun.
and we're at 22,225,012.
Woo! That's
$225,000.
We have the giveaway we need to pull a winner for.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
we didn't even pull a winner for that giveaway.
Well, it kind of ended during that interview. So.
Yay, the American flag is back. Hooray.
All right.
Thank you, Sarah.
For our Avengers cross stitch plus some awesome pig sweeteners. So let's see what we got going down here.
Oh, have it go a little bit longer? Okay, maybe we'll have it go to like 11:15 or something like that, just in case.
Okay.
I mean, we just want to make sure everybody gets their chance in the kick to get a kick at the can, to get some of those Avengers, to get their Iron Man,
I also just realized
their Amerimang.
currently more than halfway through the run right now. As it stands right now.
No,
That hasn't started yet. No.
we are more than halfway through.
Well, you've been just barely, right? Like a couple hours. But
We were 225.
I know. That's a lot of money.
That's a lot of money.
All right, so we're gonna go
It's a bus
from.
ton of money.
This started at 10:16.
Yep.
And we're gonna end it at 11:15.
Just to be sure, just to be safe.
And that's gonna be for
Safety third. That's our motto.
$6.66.